is the most interesting program in the country, and why is it LSU? Seriously, it's always something. Yeah, it is. I wrote down quickly 3 programs that I think are pretty interesting. And I didn't put Alabama in here. You could put Alabama. You could put a bunch of programs in here. But LSU is absolutely one of them. Slade's right. There's always something happening at LSU. And the reality is there's always something happening everywhere. It's just more high profile at LSU. Now, you may think that's a bad thing. And I'm not here to mask, the Will Wade basketball allegations. No, those aren't good. But let's really zoom it out for a second. And let's think about what it really means when there seems to always be drama around your program. I've never viewed that as a bad thing. I think that's a good thing. Drama constantly is not the worst thing you can have around your program. Apathy is. Because the programs where apathy has sunk in, they still have problems. It's just people don't even care enough to talk about it. And so when you lack that, that's something that's really hard. I could clean up a program. If the passion's there, and I don't have to manufacture the passion, I can clean up a program. In other words, you would much rather have a horse that you have to tell slow down than constantly have to say giddy up to. Because it's hard to take a horse that doesn't want to giddy up and make it giddy up. Now, you can slow him down. You can pull the reins back all the time. Well, it's the same way with football programs, whether it be LSU, Ohio State is this way. I think those programs are in such a white-hot spotlight because there's so many people who care that it kind of manufactures the illusion of more drama proportionally than actually exists other places. They've got the problems other people have. It's just there's so many more eyeballs on those programs that it seems like it's a bigger deal. And so I think LSU, it's very interesting to watch that place on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis. Ohio State's the same way. And I'll tell you what stands out about Ohio State. There is so much media that covers Ohio State. There's so many different outlets that cover Ohio State that you rarely have a stone that goes unturned around that place. So you just have so many places. I don't want to mention them because I don't want to single any one out. Bucknuts I'll single out because they're part of our network. But I mean, there's a huge infrastructure of Ohio State football dedicated media around that Buckeye program to where anything that happens, someone sneezes and strains their neck, 3 different people have headlines within the hour. It looks like this is one of the most drama-filled programs in America. No, it's just one of the most covered programs, one of the most watched programs in America. But a third one that interests me that doesn't necessarily fall under these parameters is Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State exists outside of the true national microscope, but yet they succeed when they're not supposed to, really. They do not get a fraction of the recruiting traction that Oklahoma does, nor do they get what Texas does. And they're in Stillwater, Oklahoma. They do not have a truly national brand. When you say Oklahoma State, here's what I think. I think Boone Pickens and everything that he did for the program, and I think very, very close quarters on the sidelines. Those are the 2 things I think about. So I think about their stadium design, and I think about their angel donor in Boone Pickens. And other than that, it's a pretty anonymous program nationally. I know you guys locally, you eat, sleep, and breathe it. And so you don't feel that way. But I'm telling you what people in Albany, New York, or Sacramento, California would think about Oklahoma State football. And yet they win, and yet they're always in contention. And logic tells you that it shouldn't be that way. Logic tells you, just like it did with Mark D'Antonio at Michigan State, logic said that guy shouldn't be competing with Urban Meyer in Ohio State. Just like logic says, man, how does Mike Gundy have Oklahoma State always competing? And it's called culture. It's called blueprint. They just got something that works there. But they do it out of the spotlight. And it seems nationally like every year Preview Magazine season rolls around. And of course you've got the Is This Texas's Year crowd, and you've got Oklahoma, the preemptive favorite crowd. And Oklahoma State's just this team that everyone wants to sound intellectually superior about. So they'll say, you got to watch Oklahoma State. But if I really nailed you down, and I said, really? Name me 5 players to watch. You'd be stuck. It'd be a good thing we weren't on live TV because you would have embarrassed yourself. Meanwhile, I probably wouldn't be able to name 5 of them either. I just would have pinned you to the wall, therefore absolving myself. But Oklahoma State's fun to watch to me for totally different reasons than the first 2 were. LSU, Ohio State, Oklahoma State. If you give me those 3 and I give them to an agnostic fan and I just deliver headlines from those 3 programs and those 3 beats, you get a really good slice, kind of a cross-section, if you will, of at multiple levels what makes this sport great.